Welcome to the Explainer. So, have you ever caught yourself watching a movie or, reading a book and thought, "Hold on, I've absolutely seen this exact story before." Well, you're not crazy. You're actually picking up on something incredibly profound. In this Explainer, we're going to completely change the way you watch movies and read books. We're handing you the secret decoder ring to understand the hidden structures behind your absolute favorite stories, characters, and symbols. We are decoding the fascinating world of archetypes.
Okay, let's dive right into this. I want you to think about two characters that, at least on the surface, could not be more different from one another. On one hand, you've got Peter Parker, Spider-Man, swinging through the towering skyscrapers of New York City. And on the other hand, think of a character like Cardo Della from the massive Philippine TV series Ang Provinciano, navigating the gritty streets and rural landscapes of the Philippines. Completely different settings, completely different plots, right? Yet, when we watch them, they give us this almost eerie sense of cinematic déjà vu. We instantly connect with them. We know exactly what they stand for. But why is that? Why do fundamentally different characters evoke the exact same feelings inside of us?
Well, the answer is the archetype. By definition, an archetype is an original model, a pattern, or recurring theme found in literature and art. But actually, it goes way deeper than just a simple storytelling trope. As the famous psychologist Carl Jung proposed, these are universal ideas that are planted deep, deep in the human collective unconscious. So what does this all mean? It means no matter where you were born or what culture you grew up in, your brain is literally hardwired to easily understand these shared human blueprints.
So the crucial point here is to think of archetypes as a giant universal mold for storytelling. Imagine you're baking with a specific cake pan, right? Let's say a star-shaped mold. You can pour chocolate batter into it, vanilla batter, strawberry, whatever you want. The flavor changes, the color changes, the icing on top changes, kind of just like how the title of a story or the names of the main characters might change. But when that cake comes out of the oven, that fundamental star shape, that underlying pattern, remains exactly the same. The formula is completely untouched, and it feels entirely familiar to us. Section 1. Character Archetypes. The people in the mold. Now, what's really interesting about this is how these universal blueprints map perfectly onto the faces we already know and love. Take the hero, the protagonist fighting evil to save the day. Whether it's the magical world of Harry Potter, Spider-Man in New York, or Cardo Della and Ang Provinciano, the core mold is identical. They are the exact same archetype. Then, of course, there's the villain, the ultimate source of chaos opposing the hero. Think of the universe-conquering Thanos from the Avengers, or the iconic snake-haired Valentina opposing Darna in Filipino comics. Then we've got the mentor, the wise older keepers of wisdom like Professor Dumbledore or Master Yoda. And finally, the sidekick. They provide unwavering loyalty and comic relief, perfectly embodied by Peter Parker's best friend Ned or Darna's loyal companion Ding. The faces change, but the roles are immortal. Section 2. Story Archetypes, the familiar plots. It turns out the plots themselves are archetypes too. Our brains just absolutely love these specific, recurring journeys. Take the hero's journey, for example. An ordinary person gets thrust into an extraordinary situation, faces a bunch of trials, and returns completely changed. We will happily pay $15 a movie ticket to see this exact plot over and over again just because we never get tired of it. Then there's the rebirth plot, where a character undergoes a massive dramatic transformation, starting in a really dark place and finding a new beginning. And of course, the granddaddy of them all, the ultimate battle of good versus evil. We keep telling these specific plots because they are etched right into our collective unconscious. They're the universal ways we process human struggle and triumph. Section 3. Symbolic Archetypes, the hidden meanings. And this brilliantly illustrates how visual cues do a lot of the heavy lifting in storytelling. Take light and dark. Across almost every single culture on Earth, light is used as an archetype to symbolize hope, pure goodness, or the revelation of truth. When the sun rises in a movie, you just know things are going to be okay. Conversely, dark represents fear, evil, or ignorance, the terrifying unknown. Think about it. When a director wants you to feel like a situation is dangerous, or that a character is up to no good, what do? They cast them in shadows. They drop the lighting. Our brains instantly process this archetypal meaning, completely setting the tone before the actors even open their mouths. We also see this incredibly vividly with natural elements. Let's look at water and fire. In the language of archetypes, water is almost always a symbol of cleansing. It represents a new beginning, a washing away of the old self, much like a baptism or literal rebirth. When a hero is standing in the pouring rain after a major loss, they're being cleansed for that next chapter. Fire, on the other hand, is the archetype of dramatic change and destruction. It consumes absolutely everything in its path to make way for something else. It's volatile, dangerous, and completely transformative. But perhaps the most undeniable proof of how deeply these symbols are baked into human nature is the simple shape of a heart. It literally doesn't matter where you travel in the entire world. You can cross oceans, cross language barriers, and cross vastly different cultural histories. If you draw a heart shape, every single person on the planet recognizes it as the universal archetype for love. It's this beautiful, shared visual vocabulary that just unites all of us.
Which brings us to the most important takeaway of this entire explainer. As the source material so perfectly states, archetypes are a universal language in storytelling. And here is why this matters to you. This is why, even if you sit down in a movie theater today to watch a brand new film that you know absolutely nothing about, within 5 minutes, you already know who the good guy is, you know who the bad guy is, you know who's going to guide them, and you know what the journey will generally look like. The archetypes are communicating with you on a completely subconscious level, guiding your emotions and expectations perfectly.
So, I'm going to leave you with a bit of a challenge. Now that you have the secret decoder ring, use it. The next time you binge your favorite show, ask yourself, why are you really drawn to your favorite character? Are you rooting for the hero's light? Or is there maybe a shadow archetype you're secretly connecting with? Once you start seeing the matrix of these patterns, I promise you will never watch a movie the same way again. Thanks for exploring this with me.